Hey there, and what is going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing good. Something pretty cool happened this week. Sony announced the A7V. So this is going to be everything that you need to know about the A7V to get you up to speed. Now, first and foremost, the most notable update, we do have the multi-axis screen like you have on the A7R5 and the other newer Sony flagship cameras. I believe that every camera moving forward should have this as a standard or a staple because of course you can tilt it, which definitely has advantages when it comes to photo and shooting video head on, but you can also flip it out. That way if you're recording yourself like I'm doing right now, when it comes to video, you have that advantage as well. Like I said, I consider this a standard. Sony A7V does have that. Also, it includes a higher resolution screen. It's basically the same screen as the A7R5. It's about double the resolution of the A7 IV, which the A7 IV screen was not that good objectively. Thankfully, moving into the A7V, it's a much higher resolution panel with the multi-axis tilt screen, so they did a good job there. Another thing I wanted to touch on very quickly is the grip on the A7V is not the one on the A12 or the A9 III, which is a very weird hill for Sony to die on, in my opinion. I don't see any reason. I mean, it's just a grip, right? I don't see any reason why they couldn't have just given us the A9 III grip and the A9 III, the A12 grip. It's more ergonomic, it's newer. It seems silly to me that they didn't include the updated grip. Now, one thing about the A7V grip, I've been seeing mixed reports. Some people say that it's the same grip as the A7 IV or it's the A7R5 grip. As somebody who has owned both the A7 IV and now the A7R5, even though visually they look like they're the same grip, I want to say there's a slight ergonomic difference. I'm not sure. I don't have both in the studio right now to directly compare, but I do distinctly remember that the A7 IV grip was specifically not comfortable at all in terms of the contour. This A7R5 feels better to me, and I didn't realize that until I kind of thought it out loud, but I do believe the A7R5 has a slightly updated grip from the A7 IV, and I believe the A7V is inheriting this grip directly from the A7R5. So extremely similar in shape to the A7 IV, but it has that slight ergonomic update that the A7R5 has. Again, this is what I've been able to piece together on my own, kind of just looking into it. People have different things to say about it, but this is what I have been able to piece together. So that's my thoughts and input on the grip. I think it's silly that they didn't give us the same grip that's on the A9 III and the A12. But I have to say everything else as far as how I kind of predicted the A7V would turn out was pretty much correct. Everything that they updated with it is exactly what I thought they would do, except again, I thought it would have the A9 III grip. Everything else though, I was pretty much right on the money. It has a 33 megapixel semi-stacked sensor, so the same technology that is being used in the Nikon Z6 III, the Panasonic S1 II. It's a much faster readout speed. I've seen reports of it clocking in between 12 to 14 milliseconds readout speed, so about 3 times as fast as the A7 IV by comparison, which is what we needed to be able to shoot full frame 4K 60 as well as 4K 120 at an APS-C Super 35 1.5 times crop, and also you get 1080 240 now. There is an interesting feature with the A7V called the 4K field of view priority. Now, depending on you, if you have this on or off, you'll get a slightly cropped in view with noise reduction on. If you choose to toggle it to where you get the full frame 4K readout, you will not have noise reduction. So it is nice that you get to choose. And by the way, the price on this guy is coming in at $28.99 USD. So $2,900. It's available for pre-order now. I'll include the link. The A7R5 includes a new Bionz XR2 chip. This is the first camera from Sony to feature this new integrated sensor design. It has the AI processing chip integrated with the Bionz XR processors. It's all one single integrated unit now. Also provides additional battery gains. You're gonna get a reported 24% better battery by comparison on the same Z batteries that we're used to, that we know and love. That's great. The batteries already lasted quite a bit, and now we're getting a quarter better battery life just off efficiency alone. That's awesome. So something I do want to mention is the additional AI processing is stepping more into the white balance control now. On the A7R5, it did include a updated white balance sensor, which I believe is right here, something that was not on the A7 IV. That's why moving from the A7 IV to the A7R5, some users saw increased white balance fidelity. It's because because of the integration of the sensor, now it's being taken even further and integrated into the AI processing for even better white balance control. This camera is able to produce up to 16 stops of dynamic range, which is an improvement over the A7 IV, and you also have reduced noise at higher ISOs. So the IBIS system, very cool. It's rated for 7.5 stops at the center, 6.5 on the peripheral. So it's definitely an upgrade from the 5.5 stops we got in the A7 IV. The A7R5 has 8, and the A7C2 and the A7CR has 7. So not only is this an updated 7.5 stop IBIS system, Sony also included much better stabilization options in it as well. It does include dynamic active stabilization, something that was previously only seen on the Sony ZV-E1, which had the A7S III sensor, but the newer body. And then it was added to the Sony A7C2, as well as the Sony A7CR. Dynamic active stabilization is awesome. It's what people are referring to when they say that almost gimbal-like stabilization. It really is that good. So Sony is definitely caught up as far as on the stabilization side of things. Another thing that was added to this camera, which a few other cameras like the A7C2 and the A7CR just got, is the automatic subject detection mode. This is awesome because if you're just chilling and you kind of aren't doing immediate priority birds or animals or whatever, I think all cameras, if possible, should have an automatic subject detection modes. Canon has this now, Nikon has this now, even with the new Z52, and we do see this now in the A7 V. I do think it's cool that Sony also brought this feature along with the dynamic active to the A7C2 and the A7CR, where we're getting it right out of the box with the A7 V. And another thing that the A7 V has as far as subject detection settings that those other two and many others don't, unless you have like the A1 II or the A9 III, is you can set priority to animal or priority to birds. So not only do you have automatic subject detection, you can have just animal priority, just bird priority, just planes, trains, insects, whatever. But when it comes to animals and birds, you can shift to where it detects both, but it will add priority to one or the other. So you have those two additional modes, which is great because there's a lot of use cases for it. But again, if you're just chilling and you want to be able to point it and for it to automatically detect whatever, having the automatic subject detection mode is great. It's not going to be quite as fast as the dedicated modes, but it is still great to have. The A7 V has a total of 759 autofocus detection points, and Sony reports it to be able to focus underexposed for up to a maximum of -4 stops and still being able to retain focus capabilities and tracking. Better low light focus precision is always welcome. Now onto the shooting speeds. You do have the same 10 frames mechanical, but it's much faster in the electronic mode. And again, much faster readout, so it's much more usable as compared to the A7 IV. You can get up to 30 frames per second electronic blackout free. So it's fast. That's at the full 33 megapixels, and that's at the full 14-bit color depth. It also now offers pre-capture. So if you're trying to catch or take a picture of a moment and you miss it and you want to be able to go back in time to where the camera pre-records when you have the shutter pressed halfway down, you can do that now. You can set it from a third of a second all the way to a full second. The fact that they include this is good. Also, again, 30 frames a second. There are cameras who do it better. Like example, the S1R2 that I'm shooting on right now can do up to 1.5 seconds with a maximum of 40 frames. But honestly, anything above 10 to 15 frames is plenty fast enough for me. So just the fact that Sony has included on here is a green check mark. Anything above that is gravy, if you ask me. I think a full second is plenty long enough. So the A7 V does offer the speed boost function that you can do on the A9 III. It just doesn't have the custom 5 on the front of the camera because it's just the button's not on the A7 V body. But you can map it to where you can quickly do the speed boost function. You can hold it or toggle it on and off. That way you can jump immediately in and out of the 30 frame rates a second. So if you really quickly want to capture fast burst speeds, you can easily do that. Also, I should mention on the 4K modes like the 4K 60, it is full pixel readout and there is no binning at all. Also, another really cool and welcomed addition is the clear image zoom is improved. So previously, like on the A7 IV, you could do the clear image zoom up to 1.5 times, but you would lose tracking and some autofocus capabilities when it comes to that. Now with the A7 V, you don't lose pretty much anything. You can get that additional clear image zoom and you retain all of your autofocusing subjects and functionality. You do have the AI auto framing, so where you can set it to follow you in the camera, and it kind of just moves the box to where it looks like you have your own cameraman, but you don't. It's just the camera just cropping in and following you. You do have that. And another welcomed change, which also just came to the A7R5 through a firmware update, is when you turn the when you actually turn the camera, the info display shifts to landscape as well. Makes it easier to shoot and see your information on the screen. A7V comes with that. Because with S-Log3, you can add your own user LUTs for in-camera preview. A lot of people use that, so that's a welcome feature. Now, when reviewing your footage, you can also add shot marks for easier still image extraction from video. So for the viewfinder, it is a 3.68 million dot OLED viewfinder. Not as good as the A7R5, better than the A7 IV. On the side of the camera, you now have two USB-C ports. One is full 10 gig, so USB 3.2 protocol, and the second port, which is the lower one, supports up to 480 megabytes a second, which is USB 2.0 speeds for communication purposes. You can also plug in directly to a computer for direct 4K 30 video streaming. And overall, it's just nice because prior, if you were using Type-C port, you couldn't charge it while using it. And it's just, it clears things up and adds much better functionality. So as far as the card slots go, you have the same setup that we are used to when it comes to pretty much all Sony cameras. So you have one dual slot, slot one, the top one for supporting up to UHS 2 SD cards, and it's reversible to where you can shoot a CF Express Type A card. Slot 2 is another UHS 2 SD card, so same as the A7 IV, A7R5, it's pretty much what we're used to. Now, overheating wise and heat dissipation, the A7 V overheating seems to be pretty much a non-issue. Sony in their announcement did state that you can record up to 90 minutes of 4K with no issues, but they specifically tested that with 8-bit. We have other reviewers and other people who have been testing it on 4K 30, 4K 60, the full 10-bit 422, and it also seems to perform extremely well as far as that goes. It seems like you can pretty much, as long as you're in ambient temps, like nowhere super crazy hot or anything, you can pretty much record in whatever video mode that you want until the battery runs out. Either that or you fill up the SD card. So according to reports all over, thermal performance seems well managed. It does have a full-size HDMI port, and for those of you who are wondering, it does not include any open gate functionality. Also, you cannot record raw internal or external on the A7V. So no raw recording whatsoever on this camera. And by the way, in case you were wondering, when shooting S-Log3, it does have two native ISOs. The first is 800 and the second native ISO is 8000. So 800 and 8000. Pretty easy to remember that. Although, as per usual, when it comes to Sony bodies, the 10-bit footage is always shot in 422. I do wish that they gave you the option to shoot 420, but still 10-bit. That would save you about 30% storage space when recording it to an SD card, but not really a big deal. That's just a preference on my part. So again, just to kind of backtrack as far as all the differences between the bodies of the A7 IV and the A7 V, you do have the multi-articulating touchscreen on the A7 V. The buttons and everything are all the same. The dials, the custom buttons, they're all the same on the A7 IV. It just might have that slightly updated slope on the grip, which is more akin to the A7R5. But other than that, the bodies themselves are virtually identical. It just has the updated screen. So sticking with the same resolution of 33 megapixels, but now it's a semi-stacked, much faster sensor. All in all, very solid upgrade. But yeah, overall, it's a great camera. $28.99 is pretty much where I expected it to be. It's about $100 more than the R6 Mark III, I believe. And just factoring in inflation and everything else, that's just where I kind of expected the professional level consumer bodies to be at right now. Anyway, so do I think that I'm gonna get one? No, probably not. I prefer having the 60 megapixels on the A7R5. I like having the extra detail. This thing shoots plenty fast enough for me personally, but for most people who are going to be upgrading from an A7 III and A7 IV, yeah, I would say it's definitely a welcome and much needed upgrade. That's going to be it for this video. I hope it was very informationally packed for you guys and it helped you learn everything that you might need to know about the new Sony A7V. If you have comments, drop them down below. Let me know what you think. Hope you guys have a great day. See you in the next video.